Every time you help a mentee in distress, you will build trust. And when there's trust, you can work with your mentee to make the coaching mantra real for them. And that happens starting right now. Performance case cracking is a critical component of a coach's job. It's the way that we support individuals who are struggling with some aspect of the coaching mantra, to love their jobs, be great at them, or see an exciting future. This video will outline how you and your mentee can work together to diagnose the problem and prescribe a solution. Now let's take a look at where this would fall on the peak performance equation. Performance case cracking would fall under role workflows and methods. This interaction will be performed as a strategy to figure out the root cause of why a mentee is struggling with some aspect of their job. You will be following a specific method to achieve this goal. So when will you need to execute performance case cracking? Your mentee might be enrolled in Rescue Rangers if they're struggling to meet their metrics. If this is the case, you're likely to be engaged as their coach and will need to support them. There's a whole training about this if you need more information or guidance, but you'll follow the same steps for cracking the case. It may come about through the natural progression of the coaching program. If you notice that a mentee seems to be struggling with a component of the coaching mantra, you will need to address it. And there will also be times when a mentee may reach out to you directly to ask for help. In this case, you'll want to get a high-level insight from the mentee about why they want to meet so that you're able to prepare for the session. There are also moments when you will not want to dive into case cracking with your mentee. You'll need to evaluate the level of receptiveness. If your mentee does not seem receptive in that moment, make sure to give them space. Allow time for them to have their space and then come back. No matter what the reason is, you'll follow the same steps for cracking the case every time. Now let's touch on a very important aspect of case cracking an issue with your mentee. You must remember that it's a mutual effort. Both you and your mentee should work together and come away with the same conclusion. This play will not be successful if you haven't built trust. Your mentee needs to feel like they can open up to you and that you have the ability to help them try to figure it out. When someone comes to you in crisis, you need to make sure that you've built the rapport, but you also need to let them know that coaching isn't inherently confidential. Hopefully you've told them that already because you've probably already been meeting with them, but sometimes not, so you might need to make sure they know that and include it as part of the case cracking session. In this situation, a coaching moment has to be created. Let your mentee be emotional or expressive about what is going on and how they are feeling about it. And lastly, you need to make sure you remain empathetic, humble, and supportive. You need to be on their side and show that you genuinely care. Really make an effort to understand your mentee and address their feelings. Some mentees might be expecting you to solve their problems for them by intervening, but this is not your job. A good coach is one who works with the mentee to help them figure it out. We need to make sure we support them, but never that they will rely on us for solutions. Make sure you work with your mentee in these situations to empower them. There are some important things about case cracking that are worth noting here. First thing to remember is that a mentee will always realize that there is a case to crack. Mentees will sometimes bring up a frustration or problem that is inhibiting them from loving their job, being great at it, or seeing an exciting future, but they don't always view it as a problem that needs a solution. You will have to realize in those moments that there is a case to be cracked and address it right then and there. You will need to be able to identify this situation in order to know when to execute this play. This is a challenging thing to recognize and respond to in the moment, but you need to get familiar with it because it will happen quite often. And when you do show the peak performance equation, don't just take their word for it. Really dig, ask the right questions, and listen more than you talk. Provide the space where they can reflect and open up and really be honest. If you assume that their first diagnosis is correct, you could be missing the core issue and won't be effectively helping the mentee to grow. You can even stop in the middle and come back if they need time to reflect. Awareness of how your mentee is doing throughout this process is extremely important in order to accurately diagnose the issue with them. In the next video, you will see how this is applied.